If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 441 of Picks and Ponies, right here on the HHH Racing Podcast, co-sponsored by our new partner in the top right-hand corner, if you can see it right up there at top, Twinspires. Thanks for joining the show tonight. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. We are here to talk about the fantastic Late Pick 5 this Saturday at Churchill Downs for the Claiming Crown Championships. And wow, we have huge fields, really good racing. We're very excited to tell you all about it and give our opinions of the Late Pick 5. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen on YouTube, notification bell on the top right, and smash that like button below the video player. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Follow us on X at HHH Racing Pod. And of course, we have a fantastic tip sheet that was excellent last week, I may say, with a best play of the day at New York. A winner that paid over $9, a cold punch exact at 19-1. And if you played the all A's on my ABC grid last week, you would have come home with a bet of less than $24 and cash for over $1,000. Easy fisheezy, lemon pleasy, no problem. So please take a look into our Power Pick tip sheet. We got a great website as well, hhhracingpodcast.com, with all sorts of information. I have some other things to talk about as well, but let me go ahead and bring on my fantastic co-host. It's been a minute since the Breeders' Cup. I gave him the week off, well-deserved last week, but we are back again to talk about some great racing. First, from the East Coast of Maryland, Mr. Pete Visco, and from the Saratoga Special, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and author of a wonderful new book coming out in 2026, Mr. Paul Halloran. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. How are we doing tonight?
What's up, fellas? Hello, Paul.
Hello, Pete. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you? We're doing the show bleeding into your beloved Patriots game, but as we discussed on chat, it's like a high school team. They're playing the Jets, so I think you should be okay.
And I'm not. It's funny. I'm a little more interested this year because they have a varsity coach again, and
that
I was kind of wrong about the quarterback. The quarterback is turning out to be pretty good, but Vrabel's very good, and I don't normally like heavy favorites, but I think this short week will play into their hands. He's got them convinced. They're all in on everything, so they'll be much more prepared. Sorry,
so everybody,
Patrick.
turn off those TVs and just watch us instead.
Correct.
Yeah, well, they can have the TV on, just the sound down, and have us on.
I have it. By the way, I have it on, Pete.
I know.
There we go. So, guys, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to jump right in. First of all, as many people know who are watching the show, we just started a new sponsorship, a new partnership with Twinspires. Pete's got it over his left shoulder there. There you go, Pete. You can't go wrong if you do it that way there. So we had a fantastic first show last night called The Leaderboard. I'll just bring that on screen right now. There it is. The Leaderboard show is on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern before betting and boozing, and it's focused solely on contest play, which I know, Paul, you've played several contests. Pete, maybe not so much, but contest play is very popular these days, and the Twinspires does a great job. So that show specific is to contest play with Twinspires, which is going to preempt our Saturday shows, guys, because Weekend Warriors are back as well. Weekend Warriors this Saturday, and we're not going to be, showing and covering 4 or 5 different racetracks, guys. It's going to be solely focused on the Churchill races and the contest. So it's going to be very heavy on contest conversation and talk. And as we said last night, guys, even if you're not a contest player, there's great insight you can get from playing a tournament and listening to people that play tournaments, for the simple fact that the main idea here, guys, is to reach a goal. So it's about goal setting, trying to reach that number you want, and how do you get there. That's what everyone should be doing anyway, Paul, on a daily basis, as Matt Miller has so eloquently stated in his book, A Better Way of Thinking. But you see at the bottom of the screen there, this Saturday, 4 to 6 Eastern, come right back, Paul and Pete, to this YouTube channel for a live convo. I mean, right, Paul? You're trying to reach a goal every day. At least you should have a goal that you're trying to reach, and you also should be focusing on horses that you like the most, and make sure if you hit those, as Matt Miller has talked about many times, you have a good day.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think it instills some betting discipline in you. Look, we all love to play the races. Yeah, do we all play every race? Pretty much, but it doesn't mean you're playing the same amount on every race. And what the contest does is, typically there's a minimum number of races you have to play in the live contest, whether it's the BCBC or the weekly NYRA or twinspires or any other contest. It does because you're not going to win it. FYI, you are not going to win that contest by playing every race. That's a public service announcement from the HHH crew. So it forces you to, I don't know much, Pete, but I know that. But it forces you to kind of pick those spots, which obviously would carry over into your day-to-day play. Again, it doesn't mean you can't play that race that you were like, I want no part of this in the contest. Okay, so play a $2 exacta box for $12. It's cheaper than a Happy Meal, and just enjoy yourself for that 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a lot of fun. We'll be talking about that on Wednesday nights, guys. Here tonight we're here to talk about Churchill and their Claiming Crown. I don't know how often you guys bet the Claiming Crown championships. It's happened for back to the 90s. If I have a long time.
Hey, Howard, real quick. See that question?
Yep.
I didn't want it to get lost.
Great question. Bob, by the way, wants to play in his first tournament, guys, he mentioned last night on the show, which is awesome. Yes, of course, you could submit tournament questions, Bob, but we are going to focus more on, on the pick 5. But if you have questions, Bob, in relation to what we talk about, like, okay, you like the 8 horse in race 10, how do you bet it? We can have small conversations about that.
No, I think
absolutely.
He was saying in advance of the Wednesday show for you guys to cover stuff on Wednesdays on the Wednesday show is I think what he was getting at.
Questions on this show to take to the Wednesday show?
Or maybe they could email or something. Is there another way they can
send
you can
in email,
a question? Yeah,
email us, Bob. That's fine. You could if you're on X, Bob, you can DM myself, and obviously any questions you guys have, we can relate them for those shows.
Sorry,
real
Howard,
quick.
Go ahead. I didn't want that one to get lost because that was a good question.
No, I appreciate you interrupting me there. Mike Carmoli, welcome back, fellas. John Kidzerski is here. What's up, John? Looks like I might be seeing John down in Florida in December. Him and I are going to talk about that. Racing Down Win is only here for one reason, for tonight's rant from Paul. So we'll find out what that could be about. Many topics that actually.
There's nothing bad that ever happens in horse racing, so I don't know what you could be ranting about, Paul. Come on.
Right. I mean, Ed Burke is here. My state won't let me play the contest. Oh boy. After my BC performance, maybe I should thank them. Ed, I hear you. My BC was no bueno. However, I did happen to make up for it this past Saturday. Just got lucky. Was happy about that. We got a new person, guys. Fly Fishing Chief. Wow. Hey guys, what's up, Fly Fishing? Love that handle. Thanks for joining the show, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of new people, guys, because of the leaderboard show and a lot of other reasons. So, the great BCBC, the great Breeders' Cup coverage we gave. All right, guys, let's. I'm gonna stop blabbing. Let's get to it. I'm gonna mention something with Noah Maher also, because shout out to him. I'll talk about why in just a minute. Our host of Pacific Horse Players. And by the way, last thing after the show. I know we're bumping into football tonight. You can blame me for that or blame the weather in California, actually. Pacific Horse Players has to go tonight after our show because of, crazy weather in San Diego. So all those West Coast guys saying, oh, look how beautiful it is all the time. And it rains all the time in Saratoga. Paul, they canceled the races. They're going to have a little rain in California, so they got to cancel the entire card on Saturday. Actually, I think they're supposed to have like an inch of rain. So that for them, that's a lot. But anyway, let's talk about Claiming Crown. I don't know how often you guys have played this card. It's been around for I think since the 90s. I didn't look up when they started it. It's been in some interesting places. I remember Paul and Pete being at Canterbury in Minnesota one year. It's been at the fairgrounds, Churchill. I mean, they've moved it around all over the place, and they've sort of found a home now in Churchill. Before we get into the handicapping, and this is very important, Paul, can you explain the concept of the Claiming Crown and why these fields are so big and why they're so difficult, because there's two main reasons. I'll lead the fish to water. I don't know if you'll drink it. You got horses, first of all, coming from all over the country, number one. And number two, because of the class situation, you got like races on Saturday where horses are coming from graded stakes and from like starter allowance 10 at the same time. It's very interesting.
Yeah, basically, if I were to sum it up, I'd say, claiming horses that are running in claiming races, which are typically not that lucrative unless, you're talking about like you'll see it Keeneland or $100,000 maiden claimer. But as a rule, the claiming races are not that lucrative. And on this day, they are running for big money. So you'll see. I'm looking at the first race we're going to handicap. There is a part of the condition is that they have started for a certain claiming price over the last 2 years. Basically, it's not just 25. So 7th race. Horses who started for a claiming price of 12.5 or less in 24-25. Now, 12.5 is close to the bottom. Oh, here we go. Purse, 100,000. So now you know why they're shipping from, and it's great. I saw a video this week where some owners said, "Look, we play the claiming game. For us, this is our Breeders' Cup." So it's a great concept. It's great that they get to run for this money, and as you said, Howard, it's going to attract people are going to take a shot at paying that shipping fee, to run a 12.5 starter allowance for $100,000.
It's funny, Paul. I couldn't figure out one horse how they were getting in, and then I looked back. Then I reread and I was like, oh, 2 years. I wasn't going back far enough to see, I was like, oh yeah, way back they ran in like a maiden 12 or something, and they were able to get in.
Well, and Pete, horses have either improved a lot or if they've digressed, they're not going to be in this field because they don't have a chance to win. But you got horses that were claimed for 12.5 in January of 2024. There are now, 50 claimers or nice allowance horses. And not only that, I mean, full fields of 14 on the dirt. Wow. I mean, and there's a ton of AEs also, Pete. So even if there's scratches, you got a lot of horses in the AEs. People need to pay attention to that. I mean, you're going to have, saddlecloth numbers 15, 16, take out your color, coordination, because I don't know what saddlecloth 16 is except for the Derby. So it's going to be fun, Pete.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And the one thing that was cool and made it more difficult was you had so many horses just in really good form coming from all different tracks and running in all different levels of races. It was really hard just to sort of make it apples to apples from a handicapping standpoint. I was struggling a lot, and we're going to talk about one here, so I won't go into it too much, but you have them running at sort of lower tracks, but at higher levels at that track. And how does that equate to some other horse who's coming from, a little bit of a higher level track? It made the handicapping really difficult, I think. And so many horses were just coming off wins and wins and wins. I'm like, you're just not used to seeing that as much. And that was very cool.
No doubt. This is $100,000. We're starting in race 7. This is the beginning of the late pick 5, 3:55 Eastern. And again, we're going to be coming on at about at 4 p.m. Eastern. So actually, we might miss this race 7 on the show. The intention actually was to show the last 4 races for Weekend Warriors. So I'm not sure this one will be on live. But anyway, starter allowance, all these are claiming price of $12,500 or less in the last 2 years. That's how you get in this race. Field of 14. Oh my. Fields are crazy. Number 5, Jubilant Joni for Dutro and Irad is the favorite. We don't like this horse at all. None of us have the favorite morning line in our top 3. I'm going 8, 11, 10. Paul's going 9, 11, 10. Pete's going 9, 13, 11. So Paul and Pete, you're both going to go with the 9. Pete, we're going to kick off with you first. Sadie the Goat for Rivera and Chavez at 4-1. That's the other thing, guys. You see some connections you don't normally see, on a day-to-day basis as well. So real challenge. Sadie the Goat has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. Geez, and open lengths a bunch of them on the lead. You're hoping that this filly gets the lead again, Pete.
Yeah, that was so this is actually one that I was talking about. This one's coming from Thistle and has been sort of in the optional claiming 16 level. So again, it's hard to necessarily equate that if you're not familiar with some of these tracks. equate that to what we'll see on some of the other horses. I mean, this horse is in fantastic form. From a figure standpoint, I think is going to have to probably move forward a bit, but not too far. And again, I think we always say this, is there more in the tank? A lot of these races that she's been winning them pretty comfortably with relatively moderate leads. So is there more in the tank where she can move forward? So that's what I was looking at. The only issue I have is that she's sort of from a time form standpoint, from a pace, she's second from a time form early pace. The horse who's first is outside. So again, you wonder if she really needs the lead and if Sadie the Goat has to get on top, is she going to have to push and try and get the lead over the 13, Mercy Warren, or is she able to let the 13 go and then sort of sit the pocket trip or sit right off? That's the biggest question I have. But again, I thought this race was pretty wide open, and I'm looking at a horse who just is in great form and has just been winning races. And that, that's something that maybe it equates. Maybe she can move forward when she's tested a little bit.
As a stats guy, Paul, at some time I'm going to talk to someone with DRF or Craig Milkowski at time form. I'd be curious to know, in fields of, I'll just throw a number, in field sizes of 10 or more, is it more likely that speed wins or closers win? Because the more horses, you figure it's harder to get easy leads, right? With more horses. But the flip side is it's harder for closers to win because they have to pass 7, 8, 9, 10 horses in the stretch. So I'd be curious. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm just throwing it out there because we've got huge fields here, Paul. And I guess the main question is, do you want to be forward and battling with other speed and not have to worry about traffic? Or do you want to, have to close into a big field? It's just, I know you're going to say it's situational, but it's an interesting conversation. You like this horse also. I'm completely against this one, but you guys just may be right.
Well, I could see being against them for sure. I went around, as I'm sure Pete did, but Pete, my thinking was, you brought up a good point. He may have to run too fast early, but I don't think they shipped in from Thistledown to not go to the lead. Oh, she already. Oh, Jesus Christ.
One race in, that's okay. One horse in.
I mean, it's much better not telling him and letting him keep going.
I mean, well, it's not like there's a female name in the name of the horse, so we didn't want to give it
Sadie.
away.
No, Sadie is female name.
Yes, I was being sarcastic. I was saying it's not like there wasn't a hint in the name of the horse.
Yeah,
sorry.
Oh,
no,
I'm like, wait, Goat's not a female.
There you go. Thanks, Howard.
No, you're right though, Paul. I think because
they're sending, right? We think they're not shipping into rate, right? So
no.
The question is will she have to fight too hard and go too fast?
Right.
And then part two of that question, Pete, as I'm sure you considered, because you're an astute handicapper, is what will she have left in the tank?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I do like, Pete, is the 6 for 11 at this distance, 10 out of 11 on the board.
Me too.
I'd be fairly confident that the mile at Thistledown is 2 turns. And this is a 1-turn mile. So, ostensibly she'll have less work to do after that turn, obviously. I don't know. I think you'll get all of the 4-1 because of the Thistledown factor. There's a million different ways you can
have
go.
that long run on the backside, so you don't have to gun to try and get over before the turn.
That's
or
a
anything.
good point.
You can sort of work your way over. Again, I think it all depends on what the 13 does. And Howard, you don't have the 13 in either. I do, but eventually those are the 2 that you figure are going to be at least threatening for the lead at some point.
Yeah, I know the 13 is very low. Actually, I'm interested here. Well, we'll talk about the 13 because the 13 is logical, and Paul doesn't have this one in there either. Anyway, this is a tough race. They're all tough races. I feel like the race should fall apart to some extent. I'm going with the price here, guys. I think Savannah Marie fits. I don't think she's that much slower. She's been in starter allowance company. She's been doing it in Kentucky. And here's going to be one big theme that I have, guys, on this card. And I might be very wrong. I much prefer horses coming out of starter allowance races at major circuits as opposed to like circuits like Ohio where, okay, they're winning well, but I mean, who are they really facing? I know the argument is, well, they're facing the same kind of horses they're facing that Savannah Marie is facing, but those horses are just more quality. I mean, a 10 claimer in Kentucky is much more difficult than a 10 claimer at Thistle Downs. I mean, so that's part of the logic I'm going to use for better for worse on Saturday. And this horse is one of the few horses that can close, guys. I love the second off the layoff. I know she didn't run well last time, but they've clearly pointed to this spot. I mean, they knew this race was coming up on the calendar. And so I like the fact that she actually didn't run great last time. And I love the fact she's turning back. I think Savannah Marie is fascinating. And she's really not that much slower than many in here. So that's my top choice.
Howard. I had her right as a B, right below my top 4, basically.
Pete, real quick, because again, we have so many horses that we could talk about, but only so much time. Why Mercy Warren for you? And then Paul, I want you to push back, because neither one of us have this 3-1 morning. Actually, this is the favorite. I think the 5. I said the 5 was the favorite. I apologize. The 13 is the favorite. Why we don't like this sharp trained horse, and why you do, Pete?
Yeah, this is another one that, I mean, I still would have question marks. I figure I look at it and go, the races 2 and 3 back were sort of at a similar level. We're here at the 12-5 starters and ran really well. Did get run down by Next Girl, who I think is the 11, if I remember correctly, as the chalk there. So that I didn't love that, because it's not like she was taking a lot of heat in that race. But I was looking at it going, this horse does have races where she was able to sit off a little bit, and even see last out going 7 furlongs. She didn't break as well, was a little further back, and still closed to lose by a nose at a starter 20. So I'm thinking this horse doesn't need to go and be on the lead. So I'm looking at this one thinking, okay, if this was a pure speed horse that I thought had no other shot but to run on the lead, then it would be tough. But I think this one could maybe ease over, and maybe this is the one that sits off the 9 horse. Was it the 9? Yeah, my 9 horse sits off the 9 and could still close, or even if doesn't break great and is like a little bit mid-pack, showed last out that's not totally problematic for this horse. So that's the way I was looking at
it. Paul, why do we not like Mercy Warren?
Well, some of the reasons we talked about why we do like the 9. I hear Pete. I hear about the change in tactics last time. Although it seems like a mile, she's much more likely to want, if not need, the lead. I wouldn't expect her to run that race she ran last time.
No.
In at a mile, but and again as the favorite as well. So you could, Howard, you could probably make a more cogent argument of why you didn't like her.
Well, not necessarily, but I do want to say that I don't think the plan that last race was to rate. She didn't break well, guys. That's why she was.
The thing.
Now she did get a great chip. Why I don't like her, Pete, is because she didn't break great, which is not a big deal. But then she got a great trip after that, and she should have won that race. She got a great setup. Couldn't go. I know Windy Walk's a decent horse, but I don't know. Look, the 9 and 13 can absolutely win the race. We're going to move on, guys. The 9 and 13 can absolutely win. I'm against both of them a little bit. Paul, you and Pete like the 9. I like the 11 here, guys, as my second choice. Next Girl, who just beat Mercy Warren, who we were talking about, 3 back at Colonial. That Laurel race, guys, that track can be weird sometimes. She didn't break great. She was taking a lot of dirt. She was in behind, uncomfortable, and just didn't run well. I mean, very simply. Again, this is another horse that can come from behind, guys. I just see a lot of speed in here. I don't want to talk about each race for half an hour. There's just a lot of speed in here, and I'm playing closers in general on top. I'm using the 9 and 13. I'm using the 5. I'm using a lot of horses. This is a complete spread race. I'm not going to say that for every race, by the way. Complete spread race to me. I just favor the closers here. Let's go on to the next race, guys. If I can switch some banners up here. There's the next race right there. And we'll bring the next race on screen. Race 8 is Star Allowance for $8,000. These are horses that were in claiming price for $25,000 or less in the last 2 years. Obviously, this is a tougher field than the last one in theory. The $8,000 designation, trying to find it on the screen where that came from. We'll go ahead and move on. But anyway, this is a field of 12 in the main body. There are 4 AEs. They're all big prices. Morning line favorite here is the number 4, Frosty View, a Minnesota bred. How about that? Land of 10,000 Lakes for Joel Burns, a very good, underrated Midwest trainer who used to run quite a bit in Chicago as well, and Arlington. Long live them. Abel Cedillo, this is a 5.5 furlong turf sprint, guys. Let's see where we're going on the bottom of the screen. Look at Paul. Wow. Paul and I, simpatico in a big turf field? My goodness. We're both going 5-4-3, and Pete's going 1-4-5. So we don't have the favorite on top in this race at all. Pete, you're going to go with Speed Figures. How appropriate. Florida bred, Kelly Breen, and IRAD from
Can I
the
ask,
rail.
though, before I talk about the horse, you mentioned about it's an $8,000 starter, but that's not what you see in the condition. Do you know why? Because the 7th, 8th, or not, the 8th, 9th, and 11th are all like that. And I wasn't sure if I was just being dumb and missing something, but they're all
definitely not being dumb. I definitely don't know the answer to that question.
okay. You don't know, Paul? Did you notice that where it says it's an 8,000 starter, but then this one is 25. I think the next one's 16, and then the last one's actually 25, even though their starter allowance 8. I just didn't know, and I didn't know if I was missing something.
It seems like, Pete, maybe it correlates. Does it correlate to the claiming condition? Because the amount seemed to be the same, no?
Well, it doesn't, because it says for this race is for 3-year-olds and up who have started for a claiming price of 25.
25, right.
So I don't know. It's not important. I just didn't know if I was missing something and if it was important, because if you read just the condition of the race and not the details, maybe you'd be a little bit confused about the level. But yes, Speed Figures, to me, this was one. Yeah, I'm going another wire-to-wire type horse here. All this horse's wins were wire-to-wire, but the one thing I liked, we see an improvement, and the last 4 races obviously have been really good, where he's had some good races in the past, but now the consistency is there, and it all follows. It sort of started with the last race for Trombetta. Now Kelly Breen, since has had this horse, has sort of kept it up a little bit, even though he lost the last 2. But I think from the rail is definitely just going to be able to go. You have IRAD, when he needs to be on a horse on the front, I think he's just as adept at doing it, even though we think of him as sitting off the pace. If you look at it, lost 2 back to a next out stakes winner with an 86 buyer. So there's nothing to be ashamed about there. And then the last race, there were 6 next out runners. 5 for 6 are in the money, 2 winners, and the winner was 4th in a stakes race. So even though you see 2 back-to-back losses, there was at least some quality there. So I'm looking at a horse who's just in fantastic form, gets the rail, should be able to just gun out from there. And then we'll see what IRAD can do, and he can decide if he just wants to be on the lead, and we'll see what anyone to the outside does.
There's something very important we got to talk about, guys. And I'm going to bring us back on screen here. The rails have been out this week, and they were out last weekend, and Wolfie's Dynagos completely freaked last weekend, the last race on Saturday. A 7-year-old who ran a sub 146 mile and 1/8. Speed was holding very well in the turf today a little bit, but especially last weekend. The rails are going to be down, guys, this Saturday. That is a complete game changer for me. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that Speed cannot hold, but when the rails are down in general, closers have a better chance to win for the obvious reason. There's more, there's more depth and there's more width to the track. So I want to mention that, guys. And by the way, the weather's going to be unbelievable. In fact, this might be the last warm weekend in the Midwest for the next several months. It's going to be close to 70 degrees in Kentucky this weekend. And here in Chicago, after getting 5 inches of snow last Sunday, guys, tomorrow it's going to be 60. And Saturday it's going to be like 63. It's just welcome to this time of year in the Midwest. It's crazy. Anyway, the rails are down. I just take that for what it's worth. All right. So Pete likes the 1. Paul, you and I are going to go a little bit of an upset. We're going to go with the number 5 Final Verdict at 9-2, who might be sitting right off that 1.
Yes. And, we talked at the top of the show, not the top of the show, but the top of the handicapping segment about the conditions. And I did do kind of a deep dive on some of these horses, to Pete's point, to try to figure out why the hell they were eligible. Because if you look at just the DRF 12 line PPs, you might not see it. But this horse, for example, Howard, I don't know if I'm sure you noticed this, he I got that right. He is eligible for the race based on running for 16,000 claim on March 27th, 2024, has run 15 times since then, not for a tag. You can see all those N's on your form, in actual not optional
Right.
Optional
claimers.
claimers where there
Optional,
wasn't
not eligible to get tagged.
Protected, Paul.
Protected.
Protected. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So that kind of appealed to me, Howard, as did his consistency in both speed figures and how he runs. Now, you mentioned about the rails. It seems to me like the 4 is pretty fast here, just inside of this horse, and I think I'm glad to be outside of the 4. So I just thought it's really hard to figure out in these races sometimes who has quote unquote class and who doesn't. But I thought this horse classed up pretty well.
I think again, I'm going a lot on Saturday off of who they've been facing. I mean, maybe this horse has been an optional 75 protected at Saratoga. This horse has been and look who he's been facing: Run Curtis Run, Twisted Filigree's a nice horse. These are borderline stake horses that he's been running against. Meanwhile, like the one, again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Pete's gonna be right. I don't know, but I mean, the one's been at Laurel facing optional 40s. I know protected, but like to me, that's a major class difference to me. And I think it's fair to say though, number 4 Frosty View is the horse to beat, because not only can this horse be up close, but he's shown the ability. Like last time he sat just off and ran a huge race at Keeneland. I mean, that was almost a buyer top though. So I think a lot of this race is going to depend on trip guys. I think the 4 is the horse to beat and will not be 3-1, but I don't think he towers over the field. We'll see. I wouldn't sleep on the number 3, Sousa Summer. You and I, Paul, have this horse in 3rd. Sure, he's a little bit cheaper, but Barbosa is a good trainer, brings this one up from Florida and has the ability to close a little bit and is not that far off. I think this race is pretty wide open. If it's not the 4, then it could be a lot of horses beat.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was looking at him. The one thing with the 5 was you wondered if the horse was just getting used to losing a little bit. There's a lot of thirds on that form, and I was like,
True.
well, it could be a class thing, and maybe shouldn't be beating the horses that he was losing to. But you wonder if that's sort of a mental thing where the horses run 6 times this year and had 4 thirds. Because I like that horse too, and yeah, I thought it was. I mean, I thought it was pretty wide open. I think there's at least some horses you could toss comfortably. And the other thing was too, with just from a figure standpoint, you look at it and go, okay, there's the 4 from a figure standpoint at the top end probably beats this field. So if that horse runs its best race, then probably wins the race. There's some other ones you're almost taking a leap of faith. You're like, okay, I need a little bit of regression from the top, and I need a little bit of progression from my horse. And that's where you get baked into the price, though. So if you like those kind of horses, hopefully you're getting compensated for it as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd agree with that. Let's go on to the next race, guys. Race 9 right here. Whoops, I removed it. Didn't want to do that. Race 9 is for horses that have been claimed for 16,000 or less in the last 2 years. This is back to the dirt, guys. Of course, it's a monster field. Main body 14, unbelievable. And oh wait, there's 4 AEs just in case. Of course, they're all 30-1 morning line, so they're probably not going to be factors. Let's see where we're going to go with race 9. This is a 7 furlong race, and the purse again, monstrous. The Super Bowl of claiming races this Saturday. The purse is, where am I missing the purse here?
125.
125. Okay, there you go. I'm going 12, 14, 7. Paul's going 11, 7, 14. And Pete's going 11, 12, 7. Again, I'm a lone wolf here. Pete, we're going to go to you first here. You guys like the number 11, Gilmore, for Sharp and Saez, 4-1. That is the morning line favorite, yes, in this race.
By the way, we're not going to talk about this horse necessarily, but as I was handicapping this race, the 4 horse, who I almost put in my top 3, Sose, I was literally, for any movie fans out there, I was watching The Usual Suspects while I was handicapping this race, and Kaiser Sose is the main, name in Usual Suspects, and I was like, should I put that horse in just from is that a karma thing that I should? And I wound up not, but it was basically my fourth horse. But yeah, Gilmore. I mean, you're talking about where we were saying you have some horses now. If you look at the recent runnings, this horse hasn't been running in anything special, but has been very productive. But this is a horse that we knew from stakes races way back. I mean, you're talking going back to, the Pennsylvania Derby, third in the Woody Stevens, third in the Pat Day Mile. So there's definitely some back class there. It just is a little ways away. But now as an older horse, just had gotten really consistent. And you look back again, similar level at Colonial, won a race, sat off. Again, if there's some speed here and we can get a little bit of pace up front, we always knew this horse was sort of a bit of a dead closer, or at least a mid-pack to the back closer. So if we can get a little bit of pace, I just like the fact that at this level, at least at a level that was in this vicinity, also going 7 furlongs, Gilmore was able to win, ran pretty nicely, then stepped up a little bit, stretched out to a mile, didn't run great last out. But again, that wasn't an issue. Has run at all distances from a figure standpoint, is right up near the top, and that's why you're getting some favoritism. Get Saya's back, who's been on this horse, who's won on this horse a couple times, so there's a comfort level there. So I always like again, you mentioned it earlier, Paul, 4 for 4 in the money at the distance, 4 for 6, has a couple wins at Churchill. There's just a lot to like about this one, and I guess that's why you're getting him at 4-1 as the favorite.
Paul?
Yeah, Pete, I agree with everything you said. And I will add to that the two other things I like. You mentioned the distance. I am a big fan of cutbacks and 7 furlongs. And even this isn't a dramatic one. It's more effective, I think, when it's 2 turns to 1. Yeah. This is, still at Churchill, the mile is 1 turn. However, it is still a cutback, which I like. And the other thing, Pete, is I like horses outside at this distance. Yeah. And the 11 doesn't bother me. he's not close to being the far outside in this field, Pete.
I know in this field, it's like the middle. It almost feels like. Yeah.
He's going to have 3 on his right no matter what. But I just think that's a fact. These big fields. Obviously, the more horses, the more occasion there is for trouble. So I just want to be outside. I think this horse is consistent. I like the Saratoga race a lot, obviously. The convincing win at Saratoga. He's run with some of the other contenders in this field and more than held his own. So, yeah, that's what I like about Happy Gilmore.
I think I bet this horse in some of those bigger 3-year-old races. I remember that name very distinctly. I probably used this horse at a price. I have no idea if the horse won or not when I bet him. But anyway, guys, by the way, some breaking news live here on the show for sports fans. Aaron Judge, the MVP in the AL. I'm a little surprised he didn't go to that Seattle Mariner player who had a monster year. And also, the Jets are beating the Patriots, by the way, 7-0. So,
Pats are in the red. Patriots are in the Reds. As I put in the chat to Patrick, unless Aaron Glenn gets kidnapped right now, we'll be okay.
All right, guys. I like King Cat, and I like King Cat quite a bit. The number 12 at 8-1. This is gonna be one of my plays of the day on Saturday. I like a lot of things about this horse. I don't think he's that far off from his speed standpoint. I love turnbacks. I like the fact that he's rested up for this race. He's got a bullet in the holster. I mean, 46-4. I mean, maybe some people might say that's too quick, but I'm going to trust Randy Morse, who's a solid trainer. Brian Hernandez knows this horse well. There's enough early speed in here. I don't mind outside post going 7. Do I want him 8 wide into the far turn? No, but I'm going to trust that Brian Hernandez is going to work something out here. He's got figs that fit. I think King Cat at 8-1 is very interesting. I have nothing against Gilmore. I've got Gilmore in the mix. Again, guys, you could use so many horses in these races. I mean, just because we don't have horses in the top 3, guys, doesn't mean we don't like the horse. I mean, So you can go a lot of different ways here, but that's why I like King Cat here.
I really
quite
like
a bit.
the 12 too, Howard. My only concern was I think he does his best running when he's sort of in that stalking second, third kind of trip. And I thought from the 12, it might be a little more difficult to get that spot. And that was that's the only reason why I knocked the horse down from first to second, in all honesty, because I was going to put this one on top.
Oh, yeah, you love this one too, Pete.
Yeah, I have the horse in second. Yeah, so I'm with you 100%. I just worried about the trip, and if it's a little bit stuck wide or a little too far back, that's not exactly when he runs his complete best to win races, even though he's done that too. But hopefully he can Brian Hernandez can work out a trip for him.
I like the number 14 at 8-1, Unlimited Potential. I like the fact that this horse has a race over the track. I'm slightly concerned, guys, about horses that have not run over Churchill. Obviously, this one has a run over Churchill, is going to be forward. I'm not, he's regressed a little bit, but, you know, sometimes these horses can pop up in these big spots. I think Unlimited Potential is a possibility. I like the 7. You guys like that horse? Let's see. Paul likes that horse a little bit. We've got the 7 in the mix. My Boat and Noble Knight, who's turning back with Amos and Jose Ortiz. I don't know if either one of you want to talk about this horse. Guys, there's just so many horses and so many ways to go. We could spend 3 hours on this show. Either one of you on My Noble Knight, and we'll move on.
You got anything good, Paul? Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I thought this was one that has been able to get sort of stalking trips going longer. Here's another. This is what you were talking about, Paul. This is another one coming in with a pretty significant cutback. And you look at the last race, you're like, okay, if that race was a little bit shorter, does My Noble Knight win? And maybe just got run down late when the 1 1/8 got to him a little bit. Now we're cutting back. So this horse should be running late. Again, sometimes just leaves a little bit too much to do, but I don't know. I think this one will definitely be in the mix. I just worried. I thought it was maybe a notch below for the win end, unless, you know, everything goes right for the horse. And that's why I sort of leaned with the other two.
I would agree with that, Pete. Again, we're right back to the cutback, and I was putting a comment in the chat. I'm trying to monitor the chat while I do this out. I'm multitasking. I'm
very good multitasking.
Editing, freaking. But you know, why do you like cutbacks? And to oversimplify it, you know, that they typically have the ability to stay relatively close and still have a closing punch. You know, having run longer, you know, they may be in touch with the field, yet still, you know, I know especially at 7 furlongs, the horses cutting back might still just have a little more of a closing punch than they would have at the longer distance. You think that makes sense, Pete?
Yeah, no, I do. And you worry. The only thing you worry about is when they cut too far back, do they get a little bit outrun early? And that's the only concern. We have a comment from Steve Pogel, 3449. I've heard many handicappers say they like cutbacks. Why? What is the best thing about the cutback, turnback? Why better than a stretch out? I mean, Paul, you love cutbacks. Why don't you hit this one first?
Well, and I'm not averse to a stretch out, you know. But I just did explain why, you know, I like the cutbacks. You know, the stretch out, I think a lot has to do with intent. Howard talks about trainer and connections intent a lot. You know, sometimes it's simply to try to put more speed into the horse and the results be damned. Right. You know, I'll tell you one stretch out I don't like is the heavy closer at 6 furlongs going a mile, and everyone assumes now, oh, he's going longer, that's going to be better. No, not necessarily. So I believe it or not, I prefer on the stretch out horses who have showed some speed, who maybe haven't been able to get to the lead at the shorter distance, who now can get to the lead and maybe get brave and you know, get fractions that are amenable to them and literally stretch their speed out.
Yeah, Steve, I think it's pretty simple. And okay, Patriots scored. All right, we get it.
That's touchdown Paul, not to be confused with touchdown Jesus. No,
I know you look a little like anyway. You look about that old.
Yeah, Steve, good point by you.
Steve, it's pretty simple, Steve. To me, you know, when you've been going longer, guys, you have more of a base to your cardiovascular system, like a human, right? I mean, so I'm not saying they're in better shape, but I think they're able to sustain faster paces, Pete and Paul, that you might find in these shorter races. And in theory, when these horses, Steve, that are used to going like 6 and 7 have to go a mile, and you get a mile and a 16th horse stretching, or sorry, cutting down to 7. They're like, when they hit that 7 furlong pole, which is the finish line, they're like, oh, I got plenty of energy left. I'm used to be going a mile and 16. So to me, it's more of a cardiovascular issue, not necessarily a trainer intent thing. And I especially like horses that show tactical speed going long and then cutting back. They usually come from further back, actually, because the speed horses are quicker early, which is fine. So anyway, Steve, it's a pretty, I wouldn't say it's a theory by myself and Paul. I think it's pretty much proven. A lot of people like the turnbacks in certain situations. So it's all situational, of course. So thanks for that question, Steve. Appreciate it. Yeah, exactly, Bob. Bob, same as what is done at track training in high school. Exactly. You see sprinters sometimes, in their workouts are working out longer, and then when they get to the sprint, they have that more base to them, so to speak. Likeable thing, Likeable 82. We haven't seen you in the chat. What's up, Likeable? It is strange. Cutbacks do work. Yeah. It's not strange to me, but I understand that thought process, Likeable. So anyway, let's move on, guys. So in my opinion, guys, race 7 and race 9, very difficult, very spready. I don't think the turf race is as spready, but you can argue on who you might like on top. Let's get to the penultimate race, guys, as we move on through the card. Race 10. There's our picks on the bottom of the screen. I'm going to bring up the field right now. Race 10. These are the best 2 races of the day in theory. Starter allowance 35. These are horses now that have claimed up to $35,000 or less in the last 2 years. So we're talking about horses that were possibly claimed for a pretty high claiming price and have probably been staked in the last 2 years. It's a big purse. I don't know why I'm having trouble finding
200,000.
Okay, there you go. 200,000. The field size is 14 with 2 AEs that are very long prices. More line favorite is the number 12, a horse coming from California a few months ago, Navajo Warrior for Safi and IRAD. I'm going 2-12-10. Look at this. Same 3 again for Paul and I. Paul's going 2-10-12, and Pete is going 12-7-2. This time Pete is the odd man out with that aforementioned Navajo Warrior. Pete?
Yeah, I mean, there's another one where you're talking about, you just don't see that many horses winning races like this unless they're at the super top level. But this one's won 5 straight, 6 out of 7, 8 out of 8 in the money in the top 2, I guess. And so this one moved from, actually I have a question for Paul, because Paul, I was thinking about you when I was handicapping this horse, and I like this horse. I know you generally don't like, you would prefer, obviously East Coast turf horses over West Coast, and dirt's a little bit different, obviously. But when you have from a West Coast to East standpoint, where this horse went to Safi, came east, was in the West Coast, this is on dirt, so different than turf. But do you care? Do you look at it and go, wow, this horse really translated their form from the West Coast, came east, and it was to Saratoga and Churchill. So it's not like came east to some, rinky-dink tracks and still was able to sort of carry that form for a new trainer. Do you look at that one way or the other? I know from a turf standpoint, you're more of an east-west guy. From a dirt perspective, do you care either way? Does that matter to you?
No, not really on Pete on dirt. In fact, there are some cases on dirt, obviously, where you might look even stronger at the West Coast.
At the West,
turf,
yeah.
On turf, it's as close to an automatic throw out for me as you can find.
That's why I wanted to mention it, because I know you talk about it a lot on turf. I just wanted.
But no, I don't. And not only that, Pete. A lot of times when the horses are making that kind of move, either west to east or east to west, if it's the first start, now we're trying to speculate what might happen. This horse has, a good effort at Saratoga and a good effort at Churchill. So no speculation involved with this gelding.
Yeah, so this one hasn't gone 9 furlongs yet, but again, the form is fantastic. And again, even after the move to Safi, now we get Irad for a second time. Irad picked this horse up last time, and sort of this horse stylistically fits Irad. You could see just sits off the pace. Hasn't gone 9 furlongs on the dirt, but did run a nice second, losing only by 3/4 of a length, going 9 on the turf. So I don't think the extra distance is going to matter. And I think at least from a time form, thanks for bringing that up. That was a perfect cue. At least it's projected to be a hot pace. So I think this one's going to be able to sit off and just time a beautiful run. Safi's been hot at the meet as well. So I think there's just a lot going on for this horse, which again is the favorite in a big field, which you don't always love, but it's still a soft enough favorite to where if you're playing the pick 5 and you get this horse at 7-2, and you get a couple prices elsewhere, I think it's still going to pay regardless. So I'm not worried about the 7-2 price or anything.
Yeah, you should hope there's early speed. Again, more early speed will spread out the field and would allow, in theory, that 12 to tuck in.
Yeah, get a nice
There's
spot.
no better guy that would be able to do that than Irad, Pete. But that is going to be a challenge. I mean, he's been breaking from like the 2. I broke from the 9 last time.
He was the 9, yeah, far outside last time.
The 12 is another several feet out there. So
sure.
We'll see. I have him second. He can absolutely win. Paul, you and I are going to go to the 2, and I think the 2 is very similar to the 12 in certain ways. But one of the reasons I like the 2 at 6-1, Cadet Corp for Kelly Breen and Junior. First of all, we love Junior on this horse, obviously. He's a little more tactical, I think. Number one, and he's going to save a lot more ground in theory. He might be a little bit slower, but not by much. I just have a feeling the trip is going to be better for him. He's as honest as the day is long. All he does is run well. 41 lifetime starts, over 400,000 this horse has won.
I agree with you about the trip, Howard. And I would tell you that Monmouth Cup race, which I actually recapped for the magazine, that race, that horse came from well back, surface to air. So I wouldn't say the race fell apart, but I'm saying that 7.5 length loss is not a terrible loss. Came back. I think the horse is versatile, which you just touched on, right? The horse can be tactical, yet 2 races back at Colonial shows the ability to come from behind at 1 1/8 miles. So that's one thing about horses going, let's face it, 1 1/8 miles on dirt is not a race you see every day at every track. You'll see it at the opening race of the Saratoga meet every year, so they can start in front of the stands. But the fact that this horse is proven, Howard, you made the point at the beginning about people shipping from everywhere. Kelly Breen's only started 24 horses on this circuit in the last 5 years. He's won 3 of them. So, and interestingly, Junior, I think, rode there yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So he's sprinkling in some Kentucky rides, especially on days New York is not running. So, yeah, I thought that this horse at 6-1 would be a pretty good value, and none of us have the 13, and who's actually morning line wise looks like is going to take action. The only reason I bring it up is, Howard, you mentioned how you might have some connections we don't hear about. Tim Kreiser is based at Penn National, so unless you're a real degenerate like me and sometimes watch those races at night, he is a very good trainer. So you can tell that by not only his 25%, but I'm telling you, he, with the right horse, like many guys, he can, or women, he can be fine. So I didn't use the horse. I don't necessarily like the horse, but it's got nothing to do with the fact that it's a no-name trainer, if you will, because he's really good.
By the way, that 2 beat a familiar horse 2 back there, Howard, right? The 2 horse beat a familiar horse to you.
Oh, the Lover Boy.
Yeah, certified Lover Boy, 2
sure
back.
Did.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I got certified Lover Boy. Well, no one can see it, but I've got a nice picture of him. You used to own him. Partially own, of course. I think Junior would be best to take back here, Paul. I don't think he's going to be close to the pace at all. And the other thing I want to mention, we'll move on. I don't mind the fact he's been off 2 months. Like, this is the Super Bowl. This is like the Super Bowl for these horses. And you could say, well, Howard, I don't like the break from September 13th to his next work, October 11th. That was planned, I'm sure. They were pointing to this spot. Breen's got 3 works into him now. He's primed and ready to go. If he can handle the Churchill service guys, I think he's got a major major shot here. There's others that we could talk about, of course. You got the 7 and the 10. I'll just do it quickly. Double Your Money is turning back. Speaking of turnbacks, from a mile and 3/16 to a mile and a half. This horse is in very good form and is honest. And again, Benjamin Dunn, another underrated trainer. Look what he's done. Pun intended. Actually, it wasn't intended, but it worked out. 4 for 5, guys, at this track. Wow. If that's
no,
accurate,
that's
right?
everywhere.
No, that's for the year.
Everywhere? Sorry, everywhere.
Yeah, that's for the year.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Means,
good point.
Which means this is his only horse.
No, it was actually, if you look at it, it was actually 3 different horses he's won with. He's got,
it is actually.
and a second with W. So yeah, 4
well,
for
he
5.
can concentrate a lot on this horse, then, can't he?
Well, Pete, the stats say that he's this. Oh yeah, this horse has won 4 times. I got you. Go ahead.
Yeah. That was under Felissa Dunn. Some of them.
There you go.
Yeah, but you said that earlier. That horse came out at 2 back, was in a grade 3, and now is popping up in this race.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
fun race. A lot of ways.
Another horse there, Howard.
What's that?
I thought you were going to mention the 14. You had the 14 on the screen. I didn't know.
Oh no, we're gonna move on. But
okay.
A lot of ways to go. Again, a very difficult race. Paul and I are going to 2. Pete's going with the who the heck are you going with, Pete? The my bad. The 12.
12.
Pete's going to 12.
Yes.
That's the feature race of the day on the dirt. Last race of the day is a very good turf race and another very difficult one. Let's go to it right now. The final race, guys. Actually, before we do that, very quickly, shout out to our host of Pacific Horse Players. Noah Maher. Guys, look what happened today. He's also co-hosting our new show, The Leaderboard. And speaking of the leaderboard, there it was. There we go. Noah Maher finished first in today's qualifying contest for the big Saturday NHC qualifier. So congratulations to Noah Maher, $345, a resounding.
He rolled him too.
Definitive win for Noah. So great job, Noah. Keep it up, my friend. Good job there. Let's go to the last race, guys. Let me show the field at Churchill, then we'll get to Paul's rant, and we'll be on our way for the rest of the night. Again, starter allowance 8, but this is for a horse that are claiming price of $25,000 or less in the last 2 years. These are nice turf horses, borderline stakes, some of them, big field of 12, 3 AEs, probably not going to be factors if they get in. More in line favorite, pretty big one here, guys, considering the field size, is the number 3 Risk Manager, 1 of 2 for Maker, Tyler Gaffleone in the irons for the last race today. What is this, 300,000 purse or 200,000? I know it's big.
175. The biggest race is the one we just talked about, which is at 200.
They have it on the. They usually have it on here, but they don't for some reason. I'm going 934. Look at Paul, 934. Paul's going 392. A lot of 9s and 3s here. Paul, the number 9, Echo Lane, Florida bred, Crichton Saez, 3-1, second choice. Will be more forward than Risk Manager. Maybe is slightly less talented, but not by much. I just like the pace situation more for Echo Lane here than I do for Risk Manager, but Risk Manager can obviously win the race also.
Well, this was my strongest opinion of the day, and it just got stronger. So thank you, Howard. I appreciate the fact that you like him. I really like this horse. Let's talk about Risk Manager, though, because you got to beat that horse. And, we talked about the conditions. They snuck this horse in for $20,000 at Indianapolis on May 12th. Now, coming off 2 bad races as a 7-year-old, but boy, it wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility for this horse to get claimed in that race, would it have?
Lost to a monster too, Paul. Look, lost to a monster in that.
Oh boy,
yeah, right.
That's a name from the past.
So, I mean, obviously they're thinking, well, the horse has earned $500,000. If we lose him as a 7-year-old, so be it. My point is, I think at this distance, Howard, this horse could be a little pace dependent. I'm not so sure. Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. Touchdown.
We can't hold on. I'll put him on
Come
screen.
On. Thank you. Again.
Touchdown Patriots, whatever. All right.
And Aaron Glenn has not been kidnapped, so that's good news for everyone.
Okay.
I think, Howard, at this distance, this horse could be a little pace dependent, be left with a little much to do. We have Saez on a forward horse who's a horse for course. and a horse for distance. 2 for 3 at Churchill with the second, 5 for 7 at this mile and a 16th distance. This horse is eligible for this race. Again, you will not see it on the page if you look at the 12-line DRF. This horse won a $25,000 maiden claimer at Gulfstream on January 24th, okay, wow, which makes him eligible for this race.
Yeah.
His speed figures are amazingly consistent. His results are consistent. Saez has ridden him many times. I think you'll get a decent enough price because Risk Manager is going to still take the majority of the money, and I am all in on Echo Lane.
Wow. I don't know about the all-in part for me. I don't love the last race. That's a minor concern with me, Paul. I don't see an excuse on paper. I'll have to watch it. I guess
no, Kiddo Don again. You can't beat Kiddo Don. That's all.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't love, but before the last race, Echo Lane is really good, and I like the fact this horse is, first or second in all 3 starts at Churchill. I want to say one thing, and then we're going to let Pete talk about the 3 with Risk Manager. You mentioned that this horse might be a little pace compromise, Paul. I agree. 2 of the last 3 starts has been red-coated fast paces that he's been able to run into. In theory, that's not going to happen here. However, last time was a blue-coated fig, and he did close. However, it was a mile and 5/16. Pete, comment on those 3 things. Risk Manager, I think, is the horse to beat, but not by much.
No, I agree with all of that, and that was my biggest concern. And I think if you're trying to beat a favorite, those are very good reasons to do that, because a favorite that's going to have to maybe work a little harder and is going to be pace and trip reliant is one that you can maybe take a shot against, especially if this one takes even more money and sort of dips somehow below that 2-to-1 price. But yeah, at least it's shown doesn't need like super hot paces to close, although last time closing into a more moderate pace did have Pratt to do that. And no offense to Tyler G, but Pratt finds a way to win with these horses sometimes. But I think the horse is in, and this is sort of a repeat of some other ones today, the horse is just in raging form right now. And again, if the trip isn't bad, and if we can get at least just a touch of pace, so it's just not like a straight merry-go-round, I definitely think is the one to beat for sure. And
he's 1 for 6 at Churchill, but I was just looking. I don't mean to distract people.
No, please.
He's in much better form now than he was when he was running at Churchill early in his career. I'm not sure I would really take much stock in that. Would you agree with that, Pete?
No, I do. And I didn't mind the fact that 4 back ran a decent second to right off Jerry, who's a solid horse, and at least ran better in the most recent run there. And then has just sort of improved and sort of leveled out, sort of became, this is what he is. I don't expect like a big move forward. I mean, he's 7, but I think the form that he has wins this race if he runs his best. And
he's in great form.
Yeah.
I want to quickly mention the 4, and then we need to get to Paul's rant and close out the show. We got Pacific Horse Players starting here live on Thursday in 27 minutes. Nantasket Beach, I think, is the sleeper of this race. I think this horse is actually quite fascinating. I know I only have him 3rd at 8-1 for Robson and Le Peru, but this horse has run some big figs, guys. I mean, 2 back at Churchill late May, ran a 97 buyer for goodness sakes, and then was coming from Gulfstream, ran well, went to Saratoga. Okay, that didn't work out well, was wide, but that was against Big Everest, who's basically a grade 3 horse. Now they've rested him up. He's tactical. He won't be that far back. He gets a good post. Nantasket Beach, guys, to me, and Le Peru knows his horse well. That's the sleeper of this race. If it's not the 9 or 3, I think the 4 is fascinating. If it's anyone other than 3, 4, and 9, personally, Paul, I'd be a bit surprised, even though it's a big field.
You know that Nantasket Beach is in Hull, Massachusetts?
I was going to ask you if that's on the East Coast. I did not know that. How far is that from you?
Oh, probably about 45 minutes due south.
Is it a nice beach?
It is. I used to, as a kid, there's an amusement park not too far from there, right? Paragon Park.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was
that was my 4th A, by the way. I had 4 A's, and that was my 4th horse. So I'm with you guys on the 4 as well. I just went with the 2. It was a little bit more of a bigger price. That's a leap of faith horse, the 2. I just thought with IRAD, big, huge jockey change, and there's some races in there that fit at least to hit the board. I think IRAD could do that at a price.
By the way, it cost $3,000 at the Keelan September sale. How about that? And has won $256K. That is absolutely awesome.
It
All right,
really
guys,
is.
very fun. Let's go to the best bets real quick. I think we'll just show them, gentlemen, so we can get to Paul's rant. Paul's best bet going to race 10. He's going to play a double 2, 10, 12 with 9. That's in Echo Lane and a big win bet on Echo Lane. Pete is going to go to race 9. He is going to play a double 11, 12 with 12. He's also playing a $5 pick 3 in the last 3 races 11, 12 with 12 with 3, 9. Who's that single in the middle leg there, Pete? The 12? That's Navajo Warrior, right?
Navajo Warrior. Yep. Yeah. The IRAD
okay.
Safi horse.
Yep. And then I'm going to play a pick 3 starting in race 9. A bit of a larger one. I'm going 7, 8, 11, 12, 14 with 2, 10, 12 with those 3 horses I mentioned, 3, 4, 9. If the 4 wins the last race, I think that would blow up that ticket a bit. It is $45, a little expensive for $1. But guys, these races are just really tough. I mean, really tough. We talked about this on the show on last night, guys. These doubles are going to pay. Like when you 14 by 14 horse fields, even your 2-1 and 2-1 is going to pay like $24 for 2. Like it has to, just based on the math alone. So really fun day on Saturday. Good luck to everyone playing the claiming crowd. Let's get to this, which we haven't done in a while. Paul's rant of the week. Paul Halloran, I will go use single screen. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so a week ago, I think exactly a week ago, it was announced that Griffin Johnson, who I'm sure you've seen by now, a social media influencer, was named new owner of the year by a group called Ownerview, which is apparently owned in part by the Jockey Club, which is what pissed some people off. You know, there were some people, and again, Howard, you and I talked about it before we came on. I get it. You're a new owner. You put a lot of money into the game. Griffin Johnson was gifted his first horse. A small share was gifted a piece of Sandman, and obviously that worked out very well. But let's say this about Griffin Johnson. He's young. He has millions, literally millions of social media followers. He didn't just take the percentage of the horse, put up a social media post, and then go away. He was literally out on the backstretch many mornings at Saratoga. I saw him with my own eyes because when I'm there, I am out on the backstretch in the morning. And while I understand some people may be a little bent out of shape about it, I think that fact is a microcosm of what's wrong with the game. That here is some kid who came along who's not part of the old regime, who, yes, got a base on balls. He's now part of 4 horses, so he has put some money in since then. I just think that there was a gross overreaction to it. I don't think it's that big a deal. You want to make a case that it should have gone to someone else? Okay, my racehorse won it one year. Well, why did they win it? Because they've brought hundreds, if not thousands of people into the game. Well, this kid has too. Now, how does that materialize to wagering dollars? Are they ever going to go the tricks? I don't know. But is it a good or a bad idea that millions of people who follow this guy are seeing post after post after post? And it wasn't just, during the races. It was giving his horse a bath. He genuinely has fallen in love with the game. I think if you find fault with that, you're even older and grumpier than me, which is you have a real problem.
Pete, I've talked about it ad nauseum. One of the reasons why we have some younger guys in their 20s on this podcast is to grow the game. Someone's got to be out there trying to grow the game. And if people want to poo-poo Griffin Johnson, like, I get it. Aren't there bigger things we need to worry about, Pete, than a young guy who's trying to grow the game and giving him crap for winning an award that some people don't think he deserves? I mean we got bigger fish to fry, don't we?
And it's not like he's the self-proclaimed award winner. I mean, somebody gave it to him. What was he going to do? Say, no, I don't deserve it. I'm sorry. I mean, like you said, Paul, isn't he the story of what we want, where it was someone, and I don't know what
Yes.
his level of interest in horse racing. I didn't follow him enough to know what it was before.
Very little.
Very little,
None.
right? That's what I
Nothing.
thought. It was nothing, right? So he went from that to, yes, he was gifted, but now he showed that you could do that, and now he's an owner, and I'm sure he probably bets races now where he didn't before. So it's one of those things where it's like, that's what you want. You want someone to just, you want them to get their foot in the door, or you want us to bring people's foot in the door, and then they fall in love with the game like we have, and then it grows. But I think the problem is people say they want to grow the game, but they hate on every way that people try and do it. They don't like it. Yeah, it's like unless you're a degenerate everyday player, they don't want to grow the game. It's like hockey, like the NHL. They never really want outside fans. They just want, true blue hockey fans. And you're like, okay, but if you want to grow it, you're going to just need a lot of different types of people. And you're going to want people who have influence over others. And that's the type of owner he is. And, it could be worse. Yeah. There could be and I know you see a lot of owners like, I own horses. I should have been in okay, but nobody knows you and you're not going to win an award. And it's not because you're a bad owner. This is what we do. I mean, owners, awards go to people with followings generally, and it's not a bad thing to have that out there. So yes, it's very curmudgeon-y by most people. By the way, can I say one thing? I want to give my friend Paul a shout out here on our website for you mentioned the book. What's the name of the book again, Paul, for the listeners here?
Cody's Wish, a boy, a racehorse, and a fight for life.
If you go to our website, if you don't want to remember that, if you go to our website, the book is now up for pre-sale on places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble. If you go to our website under publications, under the header, there's some information about it. There's links to, there's a site dedicated to the book and some of the background and some of the other stuff. And then there's links to where you could purchase it on some of the websites. So please take a minute, go to our website, like I said, under publications. And if you want, while you're there, you could buy Matt Miller's book as well. The information of his is there. You could buy a daily double for it makes a nice Christmas gift for anyone in your life, hopefully.
And similar to Matt's, thank you, Pete. Similar to Matt's book, we are going to have some free giveaways in the spring for Paul's book, some contests and whatnot to get a free book for Paul. And as I mentioned to Paul, Pete, I don't know if you know this, I'll just say it publicly. All of my wonderful family on the HHH Racing podcast, the talents, the hosts and co-hosts, will receive a free book from yours truly of Paul. So don't buy anything, Pete, unless you want to buy it for other people.
Don't give them to him, Paul. Make sure he pays for them all. We don't want any freebies, any free lunches.
I know he'll be paying. Don't worry. I think it's great.
I might have to pay double, Pete.
I actually canceled my Amazon order after you said that in the text. So I took a sale away already. I have to think.
Well, you can buy one and give it to Jackson or someone who knows.
That's true. Yeah. Might as well. Yeah, I'll give yours to Jackson. When you give it to us, we'll share. We do live in the same home still, me and him.
Still. Anyway, thanks again to twinspires for our partnership. We are this show, Picks and Ponies, is brought to you in part. I sound like a commercial. Brought to you in part by twinspires, and once again, we have the new show called The Leaderboard on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm trying to bring up. There it is. There is the Leaderboard, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then as I had on the screen there a second ago. Last promotion here, Weekend Warriors, 4 to 6, Saturday afternoon, early evening, talking about the contest in real time, of which I'm playing it, Jackson's playing it, Noah's playing it, Matt Miller's playing it. We're trying to qualify for the NHC, guys, as well as many other people. I think that's about it, guys. We got Pacific Horse Players coming on in 15 minutes, 9:30 Eastern. Please check them out. They're covering tomorrow, Friday's late pick 5 at Del Mar because they canceled racing on Saturday. For my co-host and friends, Pete Visco, Paul Howard, and this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 441. Crush your bets, claiming Crown Day Saturday at the Twinspires, Churchill Downs. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Savage. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.